Yeah, this is a common one from Andrew Yang. He says, Charles, can I get your take on the progressive automation of our jobs through artificial intelligence and the implementation of some form of UBI, universal basic income? So the paraphrasing the argument is that we're just about to head into the fourth industrial revolution. And this revolution is not an information, but it's an automation revolution where you have two pieces of technology that are evolving at a very rapid pace. One are robotics. So instead of these wonky little robots that go danger, danger, Will Robinson, and clearly are toys, you now have robots that, you watch the General Dynamics videos or the Boston, all these, videos that are coming out of the military, and you see robots running obstacle courses and doing somersaults and lifting heavy things and so forth. And they're clearly able to understand how to navigate and interact with an ambient environment in ways that were just science fiction 10 years ago. So if you chart that rate of evolution and you look at the advancement of the brains of these things, GPT-3 and GPT-4, the people working on these things and how they're actually evolving at a massive pace, they're going to intersect at some point where you're going to have an agent that has the dexterity, agility, and strength and capabilities of a human, and the brain of, at the very least, a manual laborer. And what's going to happen is that plus some judgment, probably first with a human controlling a collection and eventually artificial judgment, means that that entity can now replace fast food workers, truckers, road workers, all kinds of people, or augment those people. So, for example, construction. You have your general contractor, and instead of having a carpenter, an electrician, foundation people, drywallers, floor people, tile people, you now have robots that occupy those particular roles, supervised by that general contractor. 15, 20 people build a home, one person to build a home, plus an automated crew that never gets tired. If they get broken, they don't sue you and they don't get injured, and basically always does their best work. And software updates mean they make better and better and better work. And then when you want to know how to build new materials, new patterns, all of those things can be downloaded into them. Like, for example, you want to go from stick to ICF. Suddenly they just download the ICF program and now they know how to work with insulated concrete forms. Okay, ready to go. Even if the GC doesn't have any experience, the robots in the ground will. And then they also can do multi-purpose roles, like they can drive the trucks and they don't need a CDL necessarily. They can work at night because they have night vision. They can work in the rain or incredibly cold and windy conditions, and most workers can't work in those. They can work in hostile conditions, like highly radioactive environments, oxygen poor environments, dangerous environments, like environments that have a lot of natural gas floating around, like mines and things like that. Okay, so there's this push towards this reality. And the question is, when that happens, are we going to see an exacerbation of the things we saw in the last 35 years in particular, where the billionaire class gets richer and richer and richer and richer and richer and richer, but the poor and middle classes, they don't grow in wealth? Now, there's a big political economic divide in why that's been occurring the last 35 years. If you talk to an Austrian economist, you talk to a libertarian, you talk to a conservative, their answer is it's the fiscal and monetary policy that's caused that reality. So those middle class and those poor people, they haven't gotten richer because the money in their pocket is losing value too quickly because of bad monetary policy. Since 71, we've been off the gold standard, and you can actually plot from 1971 to today the value of the dollar, and you notice the buying power goes down. The wealthy get first access to the money and have all kinds of magic investments that are hedges against inflation. So the wealthy basically are in a position where no matter what the economic conditions are, they win. But the poor people only win when monetary policy is looking good. Okay, so you talk to the liberal economist and they say, well, no. The problem we have here is we don't have redistributionist tax policy. And the rich who have been getting richer and richer and richer, they should have a large chunk of their newfound wealth redistributed to society so no one gets left behind. And that is where UBI basically lives. It's nestled in that redistribution concept. And the basic idea is that all this new wealth that automation and AI is going to create for a small group of billionaires, we should take a meaningful percentage of it and then give it to all the people who will be displaced. The question is, will they really be displaced? We don't know. We actually don't have an answer. So far, the other three industrial revolutions that we've had, they actually were not displaced. Many new jobs were created. For example, we have new industries like professional gamer, VR, AR stuff. We have NFTs. We have gig economy. We have a lot of creative outputs, all these types of things where those people have been displaced. Maybe they go and do other things. There's plenty of people make money selling World of Warcraft gold. Maybe that's large enough to handle that displaced economy, assuming that people can self-retrain or the resources are available for that. Maybe they can't. There were people who were left behind in the last few industrial revolutions. And so far, the state was able to take care of them. Maybe they will, maybe they won't here. It's an interesting question. So where I believe UBI makes sense is not redistribution. Where I believe UBI makes sense is sovereign wealth fund. And a government invests billions of dollars every year into innovation and all these other things for the good of its people and the education for the good of its people. A government shouldn't be spending more than it makes unless of time of crisis. I don't like deficit economies. And a government with its surpluses should be investing that money and getting a return on that money, like Norway did with its sovereign wealth fund, which is now $1.4 trillion. Then it's not UBI. It's what Andrew tried to do, a freedom dividend. It's a dividend that you pay out from the sovereign wealth fund of the people. That makes sense to me. And I like ideas like that because it's not redistribution. It's not taking property from one person and giving it to another person because you've arbitrarily decided, well, this person has too much. Well, I think the U.S. military has too much, $750 billion a year. And by the way, they just gave $85 billion worth of military hardware to the Taliban. I'm not so happy about that. Can we please redistribute some of that budget and give it to, oh no, we can't do that. But go take some of mine because you obviously will do better with it. Like go fight endless wars, go have a spy state, go take all my liberties and freedoms away and so forth. Do a really poor job of fighting a pandemic. Yeah, you guys know what you're doing on the spending of my money. Redistribution to me is, I'm a bit cynical about it because I see in practice how the money is spent and it's never enough. Once you get comfortable with this idea that you're entitled to $1,000 a month, why shouldn't you be $1,200? Why shouldn't you be $1,500? Why the arguments are all the same in that respect. Now, the only practical way of doing UBI is with cryptocurrencies because you need digital money, you need digital wallets, you need the ability to push value to every single registered account. We saw with the bailouts and the stimulus checks with COVID in the United States, how difficult it was just to distribute money to people in the legacy way. So UBI is definitely interconnected to CBDCs. It's definitely interconnected to digital wallets and digital ID and so forth. And our industry this is not the last we're going to hear of it.